Dog toys. Cat toys. Are they interchangeable? Can a cat play with a dog toy? Can a dog play with a cat toy? You might find out. And I don't know about that with Jim Jefferies.
Wow.
I think it would depend on the toy. I don't think so, because my cats, I'm looking at Arnie's toys here on the ground, and they're a bit more robust. They're like really tearing things. And like all the cat toys we have are very flimsy things that flip up and down. So the cat it's like a feather on a bit of string as a cat toy.
Very
and
dainty.
then a dog toy is like a bit of rope that you're meant to swing the dog around with.
He's got some softer ones. I think the cats could do.
He's got like a little stuffed animal that he loves to sleep with.
I'm just saying, look, if a dog wants to play with a cat toy and a cat wants to play with a dog toy, I wouldn't force the toys on them. But if that's what they want to do, that's fine with me. I'm not disposed. And if I just don't think parents should make their dogs play with cat toys from birth. Maybe give it a few years.
That's true. I mean, we'll talk to our expert about it, but yeah, we'll find
That's
out.
what we're talking about today, cat toys.
Yeah, good. Oh, wow.
What about catnip?
Oh,
What do you think that does to the dog?
That seems dope.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume the cat. Anyway, so we've got
Just gonna
shows
let that
coming up.
pass.
Go to jimjeffries.com. The Moist Tour coming to a city near you. Extra shows added in Los Angeles, Minneapolis,
San
Francisco. Coming up very soon. New York, so great they named it. Okay, what do you?
Oh, yeah, real quick. I have August 18th, which I believe is next week. This week? I don't know when this podcast comes
I
out.
have no idea.
But August 18th, I'll be in San Diego.
Woohoo!
Where, is this August?
Yeah.
Okay, so the baby's not born yet. I was about to say that he's doing well. He might be. He might have come
Well,
early.
he is doing well,
Yeah, he's doing fine.
regardless. Okay.
Jack, what do you got for us?
I got a new game for us today.
All right.
Woo.
It's a Who Said It game.
Okay.
So I have a list of quotes.
I know these games, they always end up tragic with someone was mean to me and they said
No,
this.
no. It's not that.
List of quotes by us?
No.
Oh.
So you guys have to determine who said the quote. Was it-
Hitler or Jack's mum?
We already played this one time. It was like a sheriff and
Yeah.
Well, that was just a name, but now it's who said it.
Okay,
So who
got
said
it.
the quote? Ronald Reagan or Homer Simpson?
all of these are either Ronald Reagan or Homer Simpson.
Yes.
Okay. Did you make these up?
No, the quotes are real.
No. Did you make this game up? Or
I
you
did,
just-
yeah.
Oh, you did?
It took a long time to put this together.
Yeah, he was
Oh,
calling me last night. I need a segment for tomorrow.
I have nothing. All right. Quote number 1. Facts are stupid things.
Ooh, facts are stupid things.
Reagan.
Well, facts are stupid things. That's my Reagan. I'm going to say Reagan.
It's Reagan. He was trying to quote John Adams, and his quote is facts are stubborn things.
I didn't say who I thought it was.
Mm,
You're too slow.
Reagan.
Reagan. Good pick. Good pick.
you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's Reagan.
Good job.
Next. If something's hard to do, then it's not worth doing.
Oh, that's Homer Simpson.
Yeah, that seems like.
I know. I can pick the time he said it. If something's hard to do, then it's not worth doing.
Forrest.
I'm going to wait and hear the answer.
It's Homer Simpson.
Homer Simpson.
Wow, you're so
Yeah,
good
I'm really
at
good at this. Yeah.
It's true. Hard work never killed anybody, but I figure why take the chance?
Wait, are we just, that's it? Okay.
Homer Simpson.
Homer. Yeah.
It's Ronald Reagan.
Wait, say the quote again.
It's true. Hard work never killed anybody, but I figure why take the chance?
But that was from when Ronald Reagan was playing Homer Simpson in a movie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right, next.
The only problem with this game, and it's fine but there's not a lot of conversation after it.
You guys need to be, this is for you to conversate.
Hey, man, that was pretty
It's-
cool
it's-
that Ronald
it's-
Reagan said
Yeah,
that.
I like the quiz about you or life hackets.
Yeah.
Really, because I get a lot of shit during those, so it doesn't feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they
that's
go
what the
well.
audience wants.
I know, we like them though.
Yeah.
Doesn't
We
feel
like talking
I
shit to
only
you,
hear
Jack.
bad
Don't you
things
get?
about it during the time.
It's called tough love.
I don't know if there's any love
You're
in there.
getting stronger
tough.
every day, Jack.
Next quote.
This game sucks, Jack.
Oh, that's a bit much.
Yeah, sorry.
See, this is why innovation.
Jack,
is
I
hard.
like it. I thought it was a great idea.
He's put in some effort. They're not all
He,
going to be
he
winners.
said
Okay,
last
all right.
night, he goes, and Jim loves to do his Homer impression.
So I
So
thought-
I do like to do, but I
Yeah.
can't do it right now. I've got a bit of a scratchy throat.
Yeah.
COVID.
Reagan's terrible.
Oh.
Not your best work.
No.
Yeah, you're a good impressionist, but
Oh, well.
no.
That's my Reagan. Well, Nancy, I've lost my pants here. I like jelly beans. Reagan.
It's not good. You do really good impressions, but Reagan's not in your repertoire.
Well, tear down this wall.
Well, it's Gorbachev. Say Gorbachev.
Yeah.
Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Is that one of the quotes?
No.
That'd be an easy one.
That would be a really easy one.
Yeah.
All the waste in a year from a nuclear power plant can be stored under a desk.
That's Homer Simpson.
That's Reagan.
It's Reagan. It's got to be Reagan.
Next one is
he's trying
Nancy, lick that cum up off the floor.
That's how.
That is the next one. Yes, it was Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, because I'm sure he's trying to justify having a nuclear.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan got married next door.
Oh, that's true.
Now you're letting people know where we live.
Yeah, well,
But you don't know which side.
Well.
Yeah, you don't know
Well.
which side. Well, yeah,
It's kind of down the street.
It was meant to be a shotgun wedding.
Like
Yeah, like what happened was he'd been dating Nancy for a while. Nancy's stomach was getting a bit bigger, and then they got married very quickly, and then all of a sudden the baby came early. Get the fuck out of here.
how many kids do they have?
Well, he had a kid from a previous marriage, Ronald Reagan Jr. And then I watched the documentary.
I was like, why do you know this?
And I think I don't know if they had a couple more with Nancy, but yeah, with Nancy. There you go. They probably lived in the valley because they were here making movies. Well,
The Gipper.
Well.
Wow. Next quote. Facts are meaningless. You could use facts to prove anything that's even remotely true.
Homer Simpson.
Reagan.
I'm waiting for the answer.
Homer Simpson.
Yep, that's it. You're right. That one did sound like Reagan to me, though. Because it was a little too wordy for Homer.
I think I can hear
These
Homer
are tricky
saying.
quotes. I thought bankruptcy was the cool law, the one that says, don't worry about it, I got this.
Yeah, that's Homer.
Reagan.
Homer.
Ah, fuck.
It's close. I know, it's tricky.
You got to say it in Homer's voice, though.
No. Well, I've moved on to impersonating.
Can you do Nancy Reagan?
Say no to drugs.
Yeah. Say no to drugs. Ronnie, this comes a bit tangy.
That's uncanny.
I don't even know what Nancy Reagan sounds like.
Probably
you just
that.
heard it.
She did say, she called him Ronnie all the time.
Yeah.
And she was like this. Just say no. That was
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, what about this one?
I have
She said
chills.
this. I am not worried about the deficit. It is big enough to take care of itself.
Yeah, it's got to be
Ronald,
Reagan.
it's got to be
Homer.
Reagan, but
Yeah.
if you're going to pull out Homer Simpson.
No, it's Reagan, but that's a stupid ass quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Homer ever talks about the deficit.
Yeah, you never know. He's smart
No,
sometimes.
I know. I just told
That was
you
a
I
bit
knew.
easy.
Yeah. I just told
Next
you I
quote.
knew.
As the Bible says, screw that.
Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
Reagan.
Homer.
Yeah,
Homer.
Yeah.
Next one. America's healthcare system is second only to Japan, Canada, Sweden, Great Britain, well, all of Europe, but you can thank your lucky stars we don't live in Paraguay.
Oh, it's Homer Simpson.
I don't know.
I remember the
Homer.
episode.
It is Homer.
Yep, Homer.
So my brother was last night. He was convinced.
stars, we don't live in Paraguay.
When I tried on my brother last night, he's like, it's not Homer. He would never say Paraguay. He would never say Paraguay.
What?
Yes, he does.
Why is your brother so anti that?
Yeah.
He's not anti. He's like,
Why
that's
would
why that was his reasoning for Reagan.
Why
Did
would
you
he
and
never
your
say
brother
Paraguay?
ever like get to fisticuffs? You ever punch each other?
It'd be like one punch in the arm, but that'd be it.
Oh
We
no.
never fought.
Me and
That's not
my
a fight.
brother.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Me
not
and
a
my brother,
fight.
we never punched in the face, and then we crossed over when I was about 11 or something like that, and then it was all face.
Yeah.
Just fucking punching.
Wait,
each
which
other.
all your brothers?
Scott? No, I had dreams of beating up Danny for years because I still do.
And he was bigger when you were little too, right?
This is the thing is I'm the shortest out of me and my brothers. I got two brothers, and but at every stage, like I was a bigger 5-year-old, I was a bigger 8-year-old, I was a bigger 10-year-old, I was a bigger 13-year-old, and Mum was always like, "Well, you better not pick on your little brother because he's going to be bigger than you." And then I just stopped at like 15, and then they kept growing, and then I was never bigger than Danny. And so I still have dreams of beating him up. But what I used to do is I used to find little moments like, so I'd wait till he was asleep and I dropped like a dumbbell in his stomach once when he was breathing inwards. So he was winded.
Fucking asshole.
That's like what a snake would do. That's what
No, dude,
that's what
I
they
wasn't
constrict.
doing it out of nowhere.
No, but they constrict when they breathe in. That's why it's like they can suffocate something quickly. Like you were like,
Kelly thinks I'm an asshole, but you got to understand that's there was a
No, I mean,
Tough love.
there's preamble before that.
I get it. I
was
get there was
getting
reasoning
beaten
for
up,
it.
and I was a smaller person. And then like other times, like I remember going up and punching him while he was asleep because Dad was waiting at the front driveway to take me to McDonald's, right? So I punched him, got him winded while he was sleeping. Then I ran out and I got in the car because I had to get away. And I figured I'd be at my 5-hour shift, so by then he would calm down. And another one is I figured out that when he was sitting in the toilet, that if he was doing a shit, I knew I began to realize what his movements were when he was, going to be doing a shit and when he was going to do a wee. If he didn't lock the door, if he was dumb enough not to lock the door, I would open the door and swing it as fast as I can, and that would smash into his knee, right? Because his knee was just at the clip of it.
Yeah.
But he would wake me up every day by grabbing me by the shirt and just bouncing me up and down in the bed like 2 feet above the bed. It was fucking like whiplash every day. It was horrendous. My brother, he cracked my toes every fucking day. He was a violent cunt, he was.
Well, my brother Scott used to pin us down and tell us that he could spit a loogie down and then suck it all the way back up.
And then he couldn't suck it
He
back up.
couldn't suck it back up.
Oof. He's a fail bully.
So I'm gonna beat the shit out of him someday.
Me and Scott went sort of round for round, but I was a lot younger than him. But I used to beat him sometimes. Sometimes he used to beat me. But we turned to weapons. Scott would get golf clubs and stuff and like chase after you. And one time he smashed like holes in Danny's door. And then Dad decided that Scott wasn't responsible enough for a door and took his door away. For 2 years, he had no door. It was like the best punishment ever. And it was at the height of his masturbating. He was like 14 to 16, and he was doorless just in his room.
I think our guest is here.
All right.
Do you have a couple more?
I have two left.
All right.
Fame was like a drug, but what was even more like a drug were the drugs.
Oh, that was
Reagan.
Homer Simpson. That's when Homer Simpson got famous.
He knows too many quotes.
Yeah.
All right, last quote. A tree's
Reagan.
a tree. How many more do you need to look at?
That's Jim Jefferies.
That would be, that's me, but I'd say it's Ronald Reagan.
That's Ronald Reagan. That's him opposing the expansion of the Redwood National Park.
Yeah, you don't need that many trees.
A quote that was too stupid to put in that Ronald Reagan said was he said, "Well, I learned a lot. I went down to Latin America to find out from them and learn their views. You'd be surprised. They're all individual countries."
Yeah,
Okay.
all right, Ronnie.
Let's read some ads.
We're ready for some ads, and then we're going to podcast.
Please welcome our guest today, Dr. Rebecca Simon.
Hello, Dr. Simon. Thank you for being on the show. Now it's time to play.
Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Judging a book by its cover.
Jack's back. That was much better than last week.
Good
Yeah.
to have you.
So
Luis
sad.
was fucking hopeless.
That's all we need you for is to play the jingle.
I thought if Jack dies of COVID, then we're really screwed.
Yeah. Welcome back, Jack. All right.
Thank you.
What do you think Dr. Simon is here to talk about?
Lovely house, Dr. Simon. You
Thank you.
beautifully furnished. You have a bit of artwork there you haven't hung up yet. Probably you got to fix that. But apart from that, lovely. Are you a medical doctor?
No.
No, okay. Oh, you're one of them. Yeah. So do you ever, when you're in like a restaurant or a plane and they go, "Is there a doctor on board?" Put up your hand and go, "Oh, I don't think I can be of help, but I have got the name." Do you ever do that?
I honestly have never had the opportunity. I've never had someone ask for a doctor on a plane.
Oh, I've been on plenty of planes where they've asked if there's a doctor on board.
Me too. Well,
I've had
But
that-
you guys travel an
I've had that
excessive
happen
amount.
about 7 times. Oh,
Holy
hell
shit.
yeah. I'm gonna one time just do that. Oh, philosophy.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do that on the movie Airplane. That's like something to do. Is there a doctor on board? And we're like, I'm a doctor of history.
So are you a doctor of archaeology?
No.
What? Why'd you
So
go with
she
that?
could be
That's
a
so specific.
She could be a paleontologist
Yeah.
like Ross Geller from this TV show
She could.
Friends.
I'll give you a hint. It deals with history, her degree.
Oh, your paleontology doesn't? You all mocked me.
No, that does the history, but the history, mostly humans, I would say, right? Not, yeah.
Yeah. Do history regarding to people.
Yeah.
Are you a doctor of history?
Yes. Yes,
you're
a doctor of history.
She's here to talk about the entire history of the world.
Are you? Does you involve wars?
Kind of. That's not a good answer.
Not the major
The
ones
best
that
I
you're
can
thinking
give.
of.
I'll give you a hint, but I don't think this will help you. On September 19th, this is not an official holiday,
Right.
but do you know this one? That September 19th? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. It's a holiday that is related to this topic on September 19th. It's not an official holiday, but recognized by the government. It's one of these ones on the internet you'd see like, oh, today is.
Oh, it's like National Hamburger
Well,
Day.
it's like talk like something day.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a very popular Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Ghost.
Talk like a ghost day on September 19th.
She's a ghost historian.
September 19th is the annual Talk Like a Blank Day.
I have no idea what you're
You
talking
dress
about.
up like at Halloween.
A ghost.
He's got one Halloween costume.
Which mermaid? Elton John.
Oh, mermaid's close.
Mermaid?
Yeah, you're getting there.
Yeah, you're in the,
national.
you're in the right area
in
of the
the
world and the water.
Water.
Talk like a fish.
Yeah,
National
yeah,
Talk Like
do
a
it. Talk
Fish
like a
Day.
fish.
Yeah, do it.
Johnny Depp.
Talk like Gilbert Grape.
She has a degree in the history of Gilbert Grape.
Yes.
Look at her house. It's very nice.
Yeah. It's pirates. All right.
That's
Look,
correct.
I think I actually know a bit about pirates.
Nice.
We're talking about pirates. Dr. Rebecca Simon is a historian of piracy based in the Los Angeles area. She earned her PhD in history at King's College London in 2017, where she specialized in public executions of pirates in the British Atlantic world during the 17th and 18th century. Sorry, I just got lost in this thing. She has appeared on the History Channel shows The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Oak Island. Most recently, she was featured in the Netflix docuseries The Lost Pirate Kingdom. And if you want to learn more about Dr. Rebecca Simon, you can go to her website, rebecca-simon.com. She's on Twitter at Beck. I don't even know how to say that. Beckalex. I'm just going to spell it.
Yeah, that's it.
Beckalex. We'll put that up on the screen for you. And her book, Why We Love Pirates, The Hunt for Captain Kidd and How He Changed Piracy Forever, is available everywhere. And her new book coming out, Pirate Queens, The Lives of Anne Bonny and Mary Read, is due out in 2022. How did pirates? How did that happen? How did you get into that?
I guess kind of a couple ways. So when I was a kid growing up, being an LA native, I go to Disneyland every year. And my favorite ride was Pirates of the Caribbean. And I love the ocean. I loved the first Pirates of the Caribbean film, saw it a few times in theaters, but it was just kind of like a very vague interest. But then in grad school, we read a book when I was doing my master's in history. We read a book called Villains of All Nations. And it was talking about how pirates were essentially viewed as terrorists. And so British authorities kind of used their own acts of terrorism against them to get rid of all pirates. And I kind of got curious. I was like, how did we go from terrorists to Jack Sparrow? And so I decided I wanted to kind of keep exploring that because I found it so interesting. And I also just kind of like darker subjects in general, like crime, and I love the ocean. And it was just kind of a perfect way to really match all my interests.
Nice.
What were you going to ask, Jim?
No.
Okay.
I didn't want her to say too much because I was getting too much information.
Oh.
But also, she got it from Disney. And that's the same reason that I have a doctorate in the Matterhorn.
Oh, wow. We should do an
It's the
episode on
main
that.
thing. Yeah, and an undergrad thing in teacups.
An undergrad thing?
Yeah.
Sure, you got a thing. All right, I'm going to ask Jim questions about pirates, and you're going to grade him on accuracy, Dr. Simon, 0 through 10, 10 being the best when we're done with the questions. Kelly's going to grade him on confidence. I'm going to grade him on et cetera. We'll add all the scores together. 21 through 30, Blackbeard. That might be an answer. 11 through 20, hipster beard. 0 through 10, there's something in your beard.
I like the movie Yellowbeard with Graham Chapman from Monty Python. It was not a very popular film, but it had Cheech and Chong in it. John Cleese was in it. It's worth a watch.
This doesn't count towards your score.
No.
It's good fun, Yellowbeard.
Okay. What is a pirate or piracy or what is a pirate?
Pirates, a criminal that steals and pillages by on the sea for the most part. But like it doesn't always have to be on the sea because video piracy. It's just somebody who takes by.
We're going to be talking about.
We're going to be
the
talking about
pirates that you're
sea
thinking.
pirates.
Yeah.
Okay, they get on a boat. They come on. They take over your boat and they take all the shit off your boat and they go, "I am the captain now."
Okay. That's all you have to say about
Yeah,
pirates?
yeah,
Okay.
man. I'll tell you where pirates are from. Do you know where they're from?
When did piracy start? You can say where they're from. Yeah.
They're from, okay, so if you look at like Gilbert and Sullivan, they have like the musical The Pirates of Penzance. And down in Penzance, which is down in deep Cornwall, you have Penzance and St Ives and a few other places down there. And they all speak with this Cornish accent. And that's where the ooh-ar, ooh-ar, yer, oh. And they still talk like that down there now. And that's the pirate accent that we all know to this day, but we don't know it's really just an exaggerated Cornish accent.
Okay. So that's where it started?
That's where the stereotypical Captain Jack Sparrow pirate that we know, parrot on the shoulder, stump leg hook, that comes from Cornwall.
But where is that where it started, originated, I'm saying?
I'm going to go sure, yeah.
Okay. What is the golden age of piracy?
Oh, that would have been when videos first came out, mid 80s.
Where the FBI got involved.
No, I'll say, golden age of piracy would have been so 1788. We had people coming up to Australia. I want to say the early 1700s. Oh, maybe the early 1600s.
Can you name 5 famous pirates?
Blackbeard.
Uh-huh.
One-Eyed Willie.
From the Goonies?
He's a fucking pirate.
Like in real life. There were real pirates.
You don't think the Goonies is real life?
Okay. One-Eyed Willie, we'll put him there.
How did those kids stop those developers then?
Yeah.
There would be a golf course there, and there doesn't seem to be.
Okay, 3 more.
Yellowbeard.
All the beards?
Yellowbeard.
beard.
Long John Silver.
Uh-huh.
Great fried fish.
Long John Silver came from like Treasure Island or some shit. He was in one of the books. He wasn't just a fish guy.
Yeah.
You think that Long John Silver, the fish company, came before the pirate?
I don't know.
All right, evidently not. And then Dave Matthews, which the band was named after the
Oh, I
pirate.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
What part of the world did most of the piracy take place in? Or did, yeah.
Well, see, this is the
We're
thing.
not going to really talk about we're not going to talk about the Captain Phillips.
When I'm going to say those old ones, like as I said, down near the south of England, all that type of stuff, and then it'd be, through Spain and all that type of area, like the waters in between and all that.
What about this side of the world?
But this side of the world, I'm going to think it's down in the Caribbean. The Caribbean, as some of you people. Turns out Kokomo is not a real place, Forrest.
Yeah.
You sound foolish.
It's in Indiana there. It's a real place. So that's how much you know.
Yeah, it's that song where they go, and then the Florida Keys, which they'd be very nice if we didn't make it so tacky.
Do pirates have a code? If so, what is it?
Yeah, pirates have a code, yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum.
Okay.
And that's what you got to put into your keypad to get into your house. That's their pirate code.
What would they take? What would they take or steal?
They would pillage. It was mostly gold coins and jewels and treasure is what they wanted. And then they would put their treasure away and they would write their map onto a bit of paper, and they would have that bit of paper and they'd keep that rolled up. And then I'll tell you a pirate joke. You ready?
No.
So there's this pirate, right? And he's got a one leg, and he's got the fucking hook on his hand, and he's got a patch on the eye, and then like he's talking to this young kid who's swabbing the poop deck. We'll talk more about the poop deck in a second. And so the guy goes, "How did you get that stump on your leg, mister?" And he goes, "Oh, well, I was fighting. I was in a big brawl where there was cannons going over the ships back and forth, and a cannon blew out me leg, and that's how I have the leg." Arr. Right? He goes, "How'd you get the hand?" He goes, "I was sword fighting with another pirate, and he sliced me hand off, and that's why I have the hook on me hand." And he goes, "Why have you got the patch over the eye?" He goes, "A bird shit on me face, and I'd only had the hook for the day."
Were there women pirates?
Got it.
Not ones that were happy.
Okay.
There probably was female pirates.
Guess you didn't pay attention to Dr. Simon's bio.
Yeah, there'd be female pirates in the same way that there's female rock bands. Like we got the Bangles, but primarily most rock bands are lads. But there'd be female.
Here's a couple of quick questions. Did they really wear eye patches? Did they dress the way? How did they dress? Did they wear earrings?
This is the thing is. Maybe one or two of them had an eye patch. I don't think the eye patch was a standard thing, but we have people who wear eye patches now.
Why would you? Because they were missing an eye, you're saying, the pirates? Or
I just told you how.
Okay, sorry. I thought it was a
Right,
joke. What about the earrings? Is that real?
Yeah, they like jewelry, man.
Okay, and they dressed like Johnny Depp does in Pirates of the Caribbean, or is it different?
That's a cartoon version of it, but I reckon they did. And I reckon they had parrots because parrots, You don't want a dog when you're on a boat and they take up a lot of food, and parrots just eat a bit of thing and they can company and they can fly off and come back and sit on your shoulder, and they're low maintenance, a fucking parrot.
What is a privateer?
That's a bit on the boat for the private tier is where the good bit of the boat where you can hang out where all the hoochie mama pirates come.
Oh,
in.
no one can see you. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the Jolly Roger?
The Jolly Roger was Blackbeard's boat.
Okay. And you already told us where the accent came from. You said it was South England. Did pirates have families?
It was all over the world. None that they knew about, am I right?
Are there good pirates?
This is going to be like the dark web thing again. Someone's going to tell me, oh, there was some that were actually like Robin Hood who were trying to help out. They were really good. And no, they weren't good pirates. They were fucking pirates. Leave people alone on their fucking boats and stop thinking that you're meant to be the vigilante of the world to fix everything. Fuck off, pirate.
All right, last question. Did pirates really bury treasure?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
I bet you there's loots all over the world from different bits of piracy.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Simon, on 0 to 10, how did Jim do on his knowledge of pirates?
I did really well, actually. I would give about 8 out of 10.
No way.
I'm on fire, man.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. I think is definitely solid.
It
There.
was the St. Ives and Penzance thing that got you, wasn't it? Sure.
You took points off.
That was a good one. That was a really good one.
You're very nice, Doctor.
The Cornwall accent, I was really impressed by. Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, there you go. I've traveled.
Kelly.
I feel like an 8 is probably too high, so I'm going to give him a 2 to even it out.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every once in a while he'll get like one question right that really impresses somebody. Like, oh, this is so obscure, and you didn't know a lot
feel
about
bad
the
for
rest
Jim.
of
They
it.
give a better score.
People
Yeah.
do feel badly for you, man.
You didn't know the Cornwall thing. None of you fucking
That's
knew.
that's a 10.5. I'm going to give you a -5. So you have 5 because there's something in your beard for real.
Where?
No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
He looked concerned.
I got a bit of psoriasis on my lip here, so it's getting a bit flaky. So.
We always ask this question, and this one's like, what is a pirate? And he just says they're on your boat. They take your shit. They say, I'm the captain now. I mean,
So, yeah, that's actually pretty close to it. A pirate, legally defined, was someone who would rob and murder on the high seas.
All right.
So sometimes a bit ambiguous, like they'd kind of bend that meaning to fit like an agenda, but that's basically the meaning. And you said that they were criminals on sea at steel. So basically correct.
wait, can we just jump ahead 1 second? So are there any good pirates?
Not really. Pretty much all pirates, they were out stealing and plundering. There were some pirates that were a lot more violent than others. Like you have Charles Vane or Ed Lowe, who would actively torture and maim their victims. Then you had Blackbeard, who would fight brilliantly, but he actually very rarely killed anybody. And then you had some pirates who were genuinely forced into it and did not want to be there.
I love how you say, are there any good pirates? Well, there was Blackbeard. He very rarely killed anyone.
So
he must big himself up at dinner parties. I very rarely killed people.
a lot of pillaging.
It's all relative.
All right. When did piracy start? Jim refused to tell me when it started, but he said it started in.
I said the early 1600s.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the golden age of piracy.
Oh, yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. When did piracy start, and where was that? Or yeah.
So piracy has pretty much existed since the beginning of human history, when people have been able to figure out how to sail. So there were reports in ancient history, such as in the ancient world, the sea peoples who came over the Mediterranean over and over and destroyed all the Mesopotamian empires. A lot of people think that they may have been some form of pirates. There are a lot of ancient Greek sources that reference a lot of very troublesome pirates throughout the Mediterranean that are very much disrupting trade. And there are also documents that actually, of course, praise pirates who are defeating ships of their enemies. So piracy basically existed since the ancient world. The general history, the golden age of piracy, Jim, you were really close to that. The early 1700s is the time period we generally think of when we think of piracy, and that's very much the golden age of piracy. But it technically started around 1670 and ends around like 1730-ish with 3 distinct waves of piracy.
I got that right. I said 1768.
Yeah.
But here's one for you. So if it's if it's larceny and like, so it's stealing on the high sea, what is the benefit of that? Is it because it's international waters or something like that? Because I wouldn't be a pirate. What I would do is I'd wait till the boat came to land and I'd be like, out of a bush, right? Because they have to come into land eventually to get food and supplies and whatnot. So what is the advantage to pillaging on the high sea?
I had a lot of advantages. For one, you have kind of more diverse choice of who to rob. So it could be an English ship, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and you have a whole bunch of diverse goods that you can steal, which was really desirable because the more diverse, the more money you'll make and the more you can replenish your supplies at sea. And also pirates kind of knew all the ins and outs in the ocean. So they knew exactly where to escape, where to hide, and which ports to go where they might get more support. If they kind of hung out on land, they were much more likely to immediately get caught by authorities. Now, the majority of pirates were eventually caught, but they did run a little bit less of a risk on the high seas just because they were able to outsail a lot of the larger ships. But mostly it was because of diverse goods they could get. And also mariners very much liked being on the water. People who are pirates were attracted to being on the water in general. And that's where they preferred to live overall in general.
It's weird that it's called the golden age of piracy because it makes it sound like it was like, this was the good times, but it was just like, it was the worst times, right? That was like when pirates were at their, that most active, I guess, or something? Or is that just considered, why is it called the golden age? Or that's like the ones we remember.
They're stealing gold.
Well, it was great. You know, it was a great time for pirates, but yeah, kind of a terrible time for officials and a lot of colonists. So there's three waves. There's about 1670 when there were a lot of fighting happening between the English and the Spanish in the Caribbean over who could control different plantation islands, such as Jamaica. So during this time, you have loads of political instability and a lack of enforcement for rules for things such as piracy. So you have a lot of French privateers, or I guess this is another question later, but French privateers who were people who had kind of contracts to rob specific enemy ships, but a lot of them would kind of go rogue. And while the British and Spanish were too busy fighting each other, they were kind of stealing amongst the different plantation colonies. And then the next phase is the 1690s. And this is a period of piracy in the East Indies, like the Indian Ocean. This is where you have the pirates such as Henry Avery, who disrupted a lot of trade with the Indian Mughals and actually disappeared. He was never caught, but his entire crew was. And then you have Captain Kidd, who murdered actually a crew member and robbed the wrong ship and was tried for piracy. And kind of this whole manhunt went after him. That was kind of recorded live in newspapers as they began to explode. And then there's a pause from like 1701-ish until 1713 during the War of Spanish Succession, when a lot of pirates were hired to work as privateers during this war that mostly took place at sea. When the war ended, privateers were now out of work, and so they went back to piracy. And this is the time period from about 1713 until about 1725-ish, where you're seeing large fleets of organized pirates, such as Blackbeard, Charles Vane, Jack Rackham, Anne Bonny, Mary Read, all these really infamous pirates who all operate in and outside of Nassau in the Bahamas.
Wow.
Wait, so privateers are just it's still kind of a pirate?
Kind of. You know, they're legally sanctioned. They're like mercenaries, basically. They get a contract called a letter of marque. Let's say Britain are like, look, we're fighting the Spanish. We need you to attack Spanish ships. Here's a contract. You can only attack Spanish ships. And you're paid in whatever loot you can steal. You can keep it all for yourself and do whatever you want with it. And a lot of privateers liked this because it was actually very good pay. But then when the contract ran out, a lot of these privateers had no work. And so they would kind of just continue, except this time on their own. And then they were pirates.
They're like, that's all I know how to do, be a pirate.
And so were there lady pirates?
There were some. The two most famous ones were Anne Bonny and Mary Read, who actually sailed together with the pirate Jack Rackham in 1720, just for a couple of months between August and October of 1720. Anne Bonny was Jack Rackham's wife. Mary Read sailed with them, and they were known for fighting with their shirts open to expose their breasts the victims, to kind of intimidate them, swearing and fighting louder than any of the men. But then, you know, of course, they're caught after just 2 months, put on trial, but they were both found guilty and sentenced to be hanged, but then they got what was called a stay of execution. It was delayed because they were both, plot twist, pregnant. And then and then we actually don't quite know what happened to them. Mary Read died.
That's another podcast, but I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I just explained this to my son the other day, how these are made. I'm surprised you don't know. You're a doctor. I'll tell you this, though, because you mentioned the pregnancy and the breasts and all that type of stuff. Do you know the number one porno of all time is a pirate-based one from the early 2000s? Just a little bit of something.
How do you
for
know
it.
that?
I didn't know that.
It was.
Where's there a
I
ranking?
did not know that.
Yeah.
No, it was a big thing when DVDs came out. This sold
called?
like it's got Jessie Jane in it. Just put pirate-based porno. It'll be up there. Bloody, it's called something.
Jessie Jane Pirates?
Yeah, Pirates. That's what it's called.
Okay. We cracked that code. I was like, it can't be called Pirates.
Yeah.
It says pornographic/action. It's
Yeah.
2 hours and 9 minutes. It's 2005 though.
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah. 7.2 on IMDb, 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. Jessie Jane.
It has a
Carmen.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I guess
right?
it's adapted from Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yeah. It's your number one porno of all time.
Okay.
Adapted.
Okay, I did not know that. That is funny though. They were like, that's how they would distract them. Just open up their shirts. Eh?
Yeah, I had one of them cut off, and she just had a stump there.
Oof.
That is
Just a hook.
distracting.
Just a hook for a boob.
Just a boob hook.
When I was
There's all the clothes.
And then her friend had a boob hook as well. They went to hug and they couldn't separate.
that's how Velcro was invented.
All right. We've gone off the rails. Sorry about this, doctor.
You would.
That's great. I just learned something really new. Love it.
It'll be in the next book.
Yeah, you didn't know that about pirates, did you? You didn't know the number one porno was called Pirates.
I did not know that, but this is what's great about being a historian. You're always learning.
Something for a lecture for you.
I did mention when I was reading her bio that her next book is Pirate Queens: The Lives of Anne Bonny and Mary Read, but you weren't.
I thought Pirate Queens. It was just like a couple of like, I'm a pirate.
Well, maybe.
And I'm fabulous.
Are any of these pirates famous or real? Blackbird, One-Eyed Willie, Long John Silver, Dave Matthews, or Yellowbeard,
The only one that's correct is Blackbeard.
Blackbeard.
Everybody else, or Dave Matthews. I've never encountered a pirate named Dave Matthews, but hey, it's
Oh, he's
possible.
really soft and gentle, and a lot of people like him, but they don't know why.
He crashes into you a lot, though. He's not a good.
Ah,
Steer.
there you go.
I don't know one Dave Matthews song, so
There's one
Yes,
called
you
Crash. There's one called
did.
Crash. Yeah, that's why.
Dave Matthews Band
Edit that
is
out,
such
Liz.
an American fucking thing where the rest of the world are like, what are they up to over there? There's a guy in a nondescript hat and a t-shirt who's selling out stadiums. What's going on?
So, I mean, there's a lot of famous pirates, or what other ones besides Blackbeard? That's the one I always.
So Blackbeard's one of the most famous ones. A lot of it because of the way he looked. He literally had a very long black beard, long black hair, which very much went against the social norms of the day when men were generally clean shaven and had short hair. So he deliberately kind of went against that grain, and he would put lit candles into his hair and beard during battles, so smoke would rise from him. And then he died in battle by being beheaded. So
Oh, yeah, that'll
super
work.
famous. But
Yellowbeard wore candles in the movie Yellowbeard in the last scene. Have you
based on Blackbeard?
have you seen Yellowbeard?
No. I
Okay,
have not.
I know John Cleese a little bit, and I actually said to him, one of my favorite movies as a kid, I said, Yellowbeard's a good movie, and he looked at me like I was a moron, and he was in Yellowbeard.
He was like, don't
and
mention it
he's
again.
like, you like Yellowbeard? He's like, yeah, I love Yellowbeard.
Wait, but candles in the beard?
In the hair.
Yeah, there were reports of it to make it look like he was literally coming out of hell. And the reason he did this, honestly, is because pirates wanted to end battles very quickly. They wanted to get in and steal very fast and out and sail away. And that's because they didn't want to lose crew members, because it would cause, no one wants their crew members to die. If they did lose crew members, they take hostages, and then this put them at higher risk. So Blackbeard tried to avoid killing people as much as possible, but he was very frightening, and he used this to his advantage. So this is what made him really infamous. And he only actually sailed for like a year and a half, but became one of the most famous pirates. And what's also funny, he actually wasn't even that successful. He didn't get that wealthy, but it was mostly his looks and his actions. But then you have Charles Vane, who was really notorious for his violence. He was known to beat people to a pulp, cut them up, maim them, no mercy. And Ed Lowe is also famous for that, but he would go beyond. He would actually cut off people's noses, ears, lips, and force them to eat them, or force people to eat candle wax as punishments. Or no, that was Sam Bellamy. Sam Bellamy did the candle wax. But
these all sound like alternative musicians. Ed Lowe, Sam Bellamy.
Yeah. These don't sound like old sailors.
On the Coffee House on Sirius XM. Ed Lowe.
NPR Tiny Desk concert.
I also like how they weren't trying to lose any crew members, so he nearly set himself on fire to do the fights.
You also have Jack Rackham, who was known as Calico Jack because he liked to dress in really fancy clothing to show off. You have Anne Bonny and Mary Read, who being women just made them automatically really famous because, oh my God, women doing this, what on earth? And then you have Stede Bonnet, who sailed with Blackbeard, and I kind of have a little bit of love for Stede Bonnet because he was such a terrible pirate, but he tried so hard.
Oh,
yeah.
He was a rich guy who owned a plantation who decided, I want to just be a pirate. I don't want to do this anymore. Abandons his wife and family, buys a ship, and hires people to be pirates with him. And so pirates were automatically just didn't respect him because they're like, pirates steal ships. We don't buy ships. And then he ends up teaming up with Blackbeard after he's injured in battle. And Blackbeard ultimately betrays Stede Bonnet because Blackbeard's like, Stede Bonnet's a terrible pirate and I don't want to be associated with him anymore. So I kind of have and then Stede Bonnet, of course, is eventually captured and publicly executed by hanging. And so, so I always feel a little bit of pity for little Stede Bonnet.
Well, any of these people, like, these sort of pirates are kind of sexy in the world of, Halloween and all that type of stuff. Were any of these guys good-looking guys where you were like, oh, he wasn't I know Yellowbeard looked like a big scruff, but like you said, like one of them was dressed in really nice clothes and the other one was, you know what I mean? With the clothes that we think of, the bandanas and the earrings and all that type of stuff, was that all bullshit? Were they like dapper guys with swords?
It really just depended. Like some pirates really like to show off wealth and power. So people like Calico Jack Rackham and other major captains. Captain Kidd for the time was probably, at the very least decent looking based on some of his portraits. And this is because he had been gainfully employed as a privateer for quite some time before turning to piracy. Blackbeard was very charismatic, and it is said that he possibly had 14 wives, kind of one in every port, literally. And I think for the most part, pirates were generally a little healthier looking than most sailors because they were able to replenish their stores more often by robbing ships. But in general, sailors were very thin. Their skin was very weathered because of all the time and sun exposure and all the hard work. Yeah, they would. Scurvy was always a constant risk. Pirates didn't get it as often because they could replenish stores through robbery. But I would say, for the time, maybe some of the pirate captains who were more successful kind of would have been good looking. But I would say for the most part, they all looked just very tough and very weathered.
And that pirate look that we all think of, is that close?
A lot of that pirate look really is inspired by the book Treasure Island. The vast majority of the image of pirates we have comes from that book. The idea of, the eye patches and the peg leg and kind of the bandanas and everything like that. A lot of the imagery is there, but sailors in general did actually wear bandanas to help keep the sun off their face. They would have just kind of long flowing clothes that could withstand the weather and also allow for more freedom of movement. They kind of would wear whatever clothes they could. Some wore, wool coats, as many captains did, like dressed like respected captains. But for the most part, sailors wore your standard kind of flowing shirts, flowing pants, oftentimes painted with some tar to help keep the sun off of them. So that way they wouldn't get quite as sunburned. But in terms of the eye patch, I don't really believe in the eye patch theory that pirates wore an eye patch so they could see in the dark better when they went below deck. I don't think that was actually a thing.
Wait, I don't know that.
I didn't know that was the theory.
Yeah, it's a big thing. A lot of people ask me that. They were like, isn't it true that pirates wore an eye patch so that way when they went below deck, they had one eye adjusted to the dark? There's no evidence to suggest that. I don't really buy into that. I think it would actually I personally, I know Mythbusters said it kind of works. To me, I feel like it would give me a headache, but the eye patch was actually inspired by Civil War veterans when the author of Treasure Island, Robert Louis Stevenson, toured America after the American Civil War. And a lot of people were missing limbs and missing eyes and had to wear eye patches. And he borrowed that kind of look and used it as inspiration for Long John Silver, who is the pirate that we all kind of think of. Every single thing we see about pirates, for the most part, is based on Long John Silver, and especially Robert Newton's portrayal of him in the 1950 film of Treasure Island, who uses his Cornwall accent to do the whole R and everything like that, which is also where we get a lot of the pirate speech.
I used to work with this comedian who was a Canadian comedian who worked in England, who was a bit of a fighty sort of fellow, a bit of a pub brawly type of guy, right? And he always used to say, you get into too many fights when he's like that. Yeah, if you're ever in a fight, he goes, what you do is if someone goes, I'll meet you out in the car park, he goes, make sure you shut one eye on the way out so that you'll adjust to the light faster than he will. And you're like, you've been in too many fights, dude, that you're thinking about that. You're like, all right, one eye.
So eye patches. What about earrings? Did they wear earrings? Because that's always a stereotypical.
Yeah, possibly. I'm sure there were plenty, a lot of pirates, if they were able to steal some sort of wealth in that sense, they'd like to show it off because it kind of showed off their own success. And it was, in a way, it would also intimidate victims because they're like, oh God, these pirates are all, have all these adornments. It means they've been very successful. And, if you were successful in a fight and able to steal someone's jewelry of some sense, you're going to want to wear it as a token. So earrings, some pirates were known to wear them, particularly people like Jack Rackham and Blackbeard, who loved to dress up. Stede Bonnet was known as the gentleman pirate because he was also quite wealthy and educated and had lots of adornments. So I don't think it was uncommon.
Okay.
So the Cornwall accent thing, was that just because of that one person, like you mentioned, or were there a lot of pirates from there?
There were a lot of pirates from Cornwall, yes. Cornwall has a very substantial piece of pirate history. But I think the Cornwall accent, kind of to exaggerate, also very much kind of depicts kind of an idea of a very working class, kind of hardened but adventurous individual, to kind of really play a stereotype of these kind of, working class but tough Englishmen who'd be on the sea. And it could easily kind of represent the way they sounded. Very distinctive, kind of like intimidating, also kind of amusing, very memorable. When the reality is pirates on ships were from all different backgrounds, English, American colonists, colonialists.
Was there
African,
ever Australian?
French.
Was there, I know we weren't really discovered till 1788, well, the white colonization of Australia.
I'm not positive about Australian pirates since Australia was colonized in the later 1780s. I think possibly there would have been Australian pirates with Pacific pirates going into the 1800s. That's kind of outside my area of specialty, though, so I don't know any specifics. But I think Captain Cook was considered to be a pirate to many different types of people because he kind of went in colonizing, or at least exploring places like Hawaii and then Australia when he wasn't really ordered to do so. So he would get in trouble for that. So I think that's kind of, for me, that's like the one person that comes to my mind.
I'd like to have an Australian pirate.
Why?
Give us your boat, cunt. You know what I mean? What the fuck are you doing? Get off your fucking boat and give us your fucking boat. You're doing my head in, man.
Do pirates have a code? If so, what is it? Jim said, yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
Yo ho ho. Were they singing all the fucking time?
There were pirates, all sailors would sing. It was a form of entertainment on ship. Sea shanties and pirates did too. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum is from Treasure Island, and Disney is what put it to that popular tune with the ride in the 1950s. But in terms of a pirate code, it's debated. There are some who say no, and there are some who say yes. Ed Lowe was said to have had a list of pirate codes, also known as articles, which were kind of agreements that pirates had to sign to be on a pirate ship. And there are many, many reports of people who are captured and forced to sign these articles, which would make them an official pirate. And these articles listed out rules that were kind of basic, to keep order on a ship, such
I
as
before E, except before C or something.
kind of like, here's how we distribute the goods that we steal, kind of evenly distribute them. No gambling, no drinking on Ed Lowe's ship, just to maintain order and prevent that sort of chaos. Don't snap your guns in the holds. Don't light matches down in the holds because it could ignite gunpowder. Don't bring no women on board ships to prevent those sorts of complications. And there were several different pirates who were said to have very similar articles to this. So a code of rules did exist. The one a lot of people think of is from the first Pirates of the Caribbean film, Curse of the Black Pearl, where there's the code that says He who falls behind is left behind. That was not a pirate code, but I think that was some maritime mythology that was used for the actual film itself.
I was actually going to ask: is the Pirates of the Caribbean series, is that based on a real story or a real character, or is that just all like made up stuff?
Not as far as I know. I think it's pretty much made up. It is inspired by Treasure Island because the Pirates of the Caribbean ride was very much based on that book in some ways. Jack Sparrow is an invention for the film. There was a pirate captain named Captain Barbarossa, and so that might have been sort of an inspiration for Captain Barbossa, even though the name's a bit different. But they do include lots of realistic elements, at least in the first film, which is the one I really enjoy, because they include lots of maritime lore, maritime suspicions, such as, no, women are bad luck on ships. That was a big superstition. About how they were hanging around Port Royal, Jamaica. That was a pirate stronghold until 1692, when an earthquake destroyed a lot of Port Royal. And then the Royal Navy swoops in, which we do see in the Pirates of the Caribbean film, how the Navy operates out of Port Royal, and it's quite a civilized place, but there are some pirates coming in like Jack Sparrow to dock. So yeah, I think they included lots of really good elements, but it wasn't based on any one in particular.
Who is Davy Jones?
Davy Jones is, again, maritime superstition, kind of a figure representing being drowned and kind of sinking to the bottom of the sea. And so they refer to the bottom of the ocean as Davy Jones's locker. No one quite knows where the name Davy Jones comes from. Some think it might have a Dutch origin to it. I forget exactly what that origin is. But it was really the name used for the bottom of the ocean.
And what would they take? Jim said gold coins, treasure.
Sometimes ships would take gold coins and things like jewels if they found that on ships. Usually if they found something like that on ships, it was not a great amount. There was one case of a Spanish ship that crashed off the coast of Florida with thousands of gold coins and pirates. And I forget the name of the ship. It might have been, I want to say Urca de Lima, but I don't know if that's just from the show Black Sails or not.
When I was a kid, they were looking for treasure on this thing called the Atosha in the Keys, and Mel Fisher, and they found all these silver coins.
It might have been around there. I'm really terrible with like ship names and things like that. But for the most part, though, they were after goods that they could sell. So things like textiles, really fine cotton and silks. They were very much after rum and sugar and really expensive wines like Portuguese Madeira wine. And sometimes they would also take enslaved people off of ships and sell those as commodity. So anything that they could sell and get wealthy, and also goods to just simply replenish their own stores, medicines, supplies, and that sort of thing. But a lot of pirates didn't really take very much mass quantities of gold. If they were lucky, they would find a few hundred pounds or maybe like 1,000 pieces of 8, which was Jamaican currency. But not as much as we think. Gold and jewels would actually weigh down a ship and slow things down. And the word treasure in the 1700s actually just meant valuable, very different meaning than what we think of today.
That wouldn't be as good a movie if they were like fighting and they're like, I've got the cotton. And then they just jump over. Look at the silk. Ooh. All right. Where were women? What is the Jolly Roger? Jim said it's Blackbeard's boat.
No, so the Jolly Roger is the black flag with the skull and crossbones.
Oh, I knew that as well.
It's real.
Yeah.
And the very first one, I think, was said to have been designed by Ed Lowe, but it's very debated. Perhaps also Bartholomew Roberts, another pirate. And the first one is a picture of a devil holding a trident, and there's a heart with a bloody arrow going through it. And that was printed on usually either on black fabric or red fabric. And that was the original Jolly Roger. Again, we're not quite sure where the name comes from. Some people think it comes from the French, Jolie Rouge, but we're not quite sure. But pirates were known to raise what they referred to as the black flag for the most part, with the skull and crossbows. And that's how people knew that a pirate was about to attack them. Blackbeard's ship was called the Queen Anne's Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
How did they get, you were saying that a lot of these crews were caught. How did they get caught? I mean, I assume at the time there probably weren't authorities on the sea. So is it always just coming into port?
So a few different ways. So it was a little complicated because pirates couldn't be captured on land because there were two legal powers. There was one for land, and then there was the Admiralty Court, which was in charge of enforcing everything on the water, the ocean, different seas, lakes, streams, rivers, etc. And they were specifically charged to go after pirates in the 1700s. And so they would try to capture pirates in battle, like a large Navy ship or a large ship called a man o' war. They would also try to corner pirates in certain off the coast of certain keys, such as Jack Rackham was captured just off the coast of Jamaica at Negril Point in battle. So it was usually that they would get caught in battle, usually because they lost a fight, they were overpowered, or honestly, sometimes something as simple as a stupid mistake, such as just getting too drunk to fight back. There was a case, there was a case of a pirate ship where all the pirates stole a load of wine, they drank it all, they got drunk, passed out, crashed onto some rocks just off the coast of, I want to say the Carolinas or maybe Virginia. And then they woke up and found themselves arrested by members of the Admiralty. So lots of different ways.
Okay, we've answered all these other questions. The last one was, did pirates really bury treasure?
So that, I think, is the greatest myth of all of piracy.
And that's what they want you to believe. They buried treasure. It's just that you haven't found it, man.
We get the idea of buried treasure again from Treasure Island.
Treasure Island.
X marks the
Smart
spot.
book.
It is. It is. You know, it's funny. I was asked to consult on something a few years ago, and my response to everything was Treasure Island. And at one point, one of them got annoyed and said, "All she's going to say is Treasure Island." But I was like, "Well, yeah." So that's where we get kind of the idea. But the reason why people think there's buried treasure is because the pirate Captain Kidd, who was kind of chased throughout the world until he was arrested and taken to Boston and thrown in jail, he tried to get out of it by writing to his friend, who was the governor of both New York and Massachusetts, saying, "I've got thousands of dollars, thousands of pounds worth of gold and jewels that I buried off the coast of New York on Gardiner's Island." He wrote one single letter describing this. Somehow people got wind of it. People went to look and found nothing. So people have been kind of searching for Captain Kidd's lost treasure for centuries, but it's never, ever been found. The most recent discovery was a shipwreck off the coast of Madagascar, where he did stop for a while. And they said they found silver bars called ingots with Captain Kidd's seal stamped on them. And I was like, no, that's not true. He had no seal and he didn't steal any silver ingots. Turned out to be a hoax.
Buzzkill.
That was quite the ride we just went on.
Yeah. But the thing is, pirates had no reason to bury treasure. They mostly sailed near the coasts of different islands around the Caribbean and up and down the North American coast, or off the coast of Africa or near India. They weren't really sailing out on the massive high seas for the most part. So they had no reason to really stop and bury anything. They would get on land and they would sell it as fast as they can. So, but if someone ever finds buried treasure, I'll be the first to change my mind. But until then, no.
I won't be telling you.
All right. This is a part of our show called Dinner Party Facts. We ask our guests to give our listeners something obscure, interesting that they can use to impress people when they're talking about pirates.
All right. God, I just had something and then I just forgot it.
Oh.
So much.
Right.
So there's a couple little things that I always kind of like to tell. I mean, the one I just gave away is the buried treasure thing, no buried treasure. But there was a pirate named Bartholomew Roberts who isn't very well known. Like, some people have heard of him. He's also referred to as Black Bart. He commanded fleets of thousands of ships, and he ended up being probably the wealthiest pirate who ever lived, and in fact, one of the wealthiest people in history. In today's currency, he amassed several $1 billion worth of money and goods. But yet we don't know quite as much about him because I don't think he engaged in very many amounts of battles. And he also sailed for a short amount of time.
Wow.
But there's another pirate who comes later that I'm really fascinated by, off the coast of China, named Madame Cheng from the 1800s. And she and her husband actually co-ruled a fleet of hundreds, maybe even 1,000 ships. He died, and then she ruled herself. She was captain of all these ships. She had very strict rules. She allowed women to sail. If men were caught either abusing them or raping them, they were thrown overboard automatically. And she amassed, she terrorized all of the ships coming out of China, all their trading ships. And it got to the point where Chinese authorities just couldn't do anything to stop her. So they actually paid her to retire. And Yes, they paid her. So she decided to take the money and she retired from piracy. And then she went and opened up a series of brothels in China and lived out happily for the rest of her life.
I think I've been to one of those.
Do we have any idea? Do we have any idea what the payment was?
I don't know what the actual payment was.
Had to have been massive.
All
I
right.
think it was, but I'm not quite sure.
Well, thank you, Doctor, for being on the show.
Let me just say, website is Rebecca-Simon.com, BECKALEX on Twitter, Becca Lex, and Why We Love Pirates, The Hunt for Captain Kidd and How He Changed the Piracy Forever. Look for that everywhere. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks
This
for being
was a lot
on.
of fun.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever at a party and someone says there's no female pirates, go, well, I don't know about that. And then walk away. Good night, Australia.